Hello folks, it's Jim Hansen sitting in for Frank Gaffney, and we're going to do some Secure Freedom Radio. Well, it's been a wild week since Donald Trump won the presidency. The American left seems to have lost its ever-loving mind. I mean, there are actual riots in the streets over a fairly contested election. And they're not even complaining that they was robbed or Trump cheated or there was some actual flaw in the system. No, things worked exactly like the founders designed them. But the wrong person won, and so the entitled grievance mongers of the left have decided to throw a national tantrum. And they're smashing car windows and storefronts and running around saying, "Trump is not my president." Well, I got news for you, kiddos. Yes, he is. Or you're no longer citizens of the United States. And I gotta admit, that's not an outcome that would make me particularly sad. All the celebrities who promised to leave, feel free. I imagine you can even get a discount rate on Trump's airplane, since he just got a kind of cool new one. But the participation trophy generations and the lefty indoctrinators who have programmed them need to listen to that famous philosopher Mick Jagger, because you can't always get what you want. But instead, they are literally lying in the streets, kicking their feet and yowling at the monumental unfairness of it all. They seem angrily unaware of the actual organization of these United States as a constitutional republic. So they're baying at the moon that this is what democracy looks like. That's their tagline. Well, sadly, they're right. Pure democracy, where every person votes and we count them all and the winner rules us all, was soundly rejected by our founders because it invites mob rule. Well, that is exactly what the mob in the streets now wants. Their mob, their rule. But the very virulence and violence of these protests is why pure democracy was rejected when we formed this republic. The loudest and the most partisan drown out the rest, and we get what we have here, which is the way they want it. Well, they don't get it. We stepped away from mob rule right after we stepped away from the idea that a monarchy composed of inbred aristocrats ordained by God didn't work. Among other reasons, because it's a bad idea when cousins marry. Thanks, Eddie Izzard. The Electoral College and bicameral legislature and checks and balances were all baked into the apple pie of America so we don't succumb to the occasional madness that sweeps a significant portion of the populace at any one time. It also makes sure the large states don't simply squash the small ones when a rowdy enough group with torches and pitchforks decides they want to hijack the country. Well, now that that part of the civics lesson is over, let's have a civility lesson. And we clearly need one. The mob in the street may be foaming at the mouth and incomprehensibly shrieking, but the supposed intelligentsia of the Democrats and the left is equally unhinged and squalling that anyone who supports Trump is a racist, sexist, Islamophobe, anti-Semite, and gay basher. Really? It's as if the very idea that legitimate differences of opinion exist has been lost. I support Trump, and I don't hate any of those groups. I prefer to do my disliking on a more personal basis, and on issues of substance, not mere characteristics. I'm also willing to grant the idea that those I disagree with may have good intentions, but simply different methods for achieving them that I don't think work. I don't automatically decide that they're evil because they don't agree with me or support the candidate I've decided needs to be elected. The left, on the other hand, appears to have decided the very act of supporting Trump, rather than the corrupt criminal they offered, is a disqualifier from polite society and worthy of internment in a re-education camp, which they probably had planned for Hillary's transition. It's okay for others to hold positions that you don't like, and to express them out loud and at the ballot box. That's kind of the point of the First Amendment and representative democracy as a whole. Then we count on our multiple branches of government to ensure that no group can set in place policies which violate our liberties or come into unchecked power. We also count on our society as a whole to keep the freedoms of all Americans at the forefront, even the ones you don't like, and especially the speech you don't like. Speech everyone agrees on doesn't need protecting. And speech you simply disagree with doesn't give you any right to censor it, simply so you won't have to be offended. I took a look at the Constitution, and there is no right to be not offended anywhere in it. So if you want to continue to lop off large chunks of potential voters from even considering your party, then Democrats, I encourage you to continue calling the rest of us foul names and slurs rather than engaging us on the issues. See, we have legitimate concerns about the direction your team has been taking this country for the past 8 years, especially since the socialist wing of it seems to be ascendant. I mean, pardon us if it concerned us a little bit that during this election season, Bernie Sanders, representing socialism, was running at about 40+% of the Democrat vote. I mean, that's crazy town from our perspective. And having spent 8 years watching Obama put into play policies that drive us crazy, instead of acting crazy, we voted. Okay? That's the way it works. And the fact that we had issues with Obama's programs and policies and the entire liberal progressive agenda doesn't mean they are founded in bigotry. They're founded in the reality that these policies, like Obamacare, don't work. Political correctness, identity politics, and grievance mongering are divisive and basically un-American. We're one country, not a collection of petty fiefdoms based on the same characteristics you accuse us of discriminating against. The real difference, well, one of many, but an important one that separates the left and right, is that we still believe you are an American first, not a hyphenated American with your approved victim group identity appended in front of that. No. We think that when you come to this country, or if you're born here, you have an obligation to become part of the greater good, to become part of the American dream, and that the very act of deciding your race or sex or national origin or some other dividing characteristic is more important than that is a horrible idea. Somewhere along the way, your side left Dr. Martin Luther King's dream that all should be judged on the content of their character, not the color of their skin, to create a world where the characteristics you can't change define you, and you must band together with others who share them, not set them aside, and work together with all of us blessed to live in this great land. America is the greatest country this planet has ever seen because of the founding documents and their commitment to ensuring government never turns into mob rule. All the craziness going on in the streets and in the media right now notwithstanding, America will continue its unended streak of the longest continual peaceful transition of power ever. So lighten up, lefties. There'll be another election in 2 years. But if you guys keep this up, you'll gain nothing. So I advise you to keep squalling, keep name-calling, keep trying to divide us. Because all that's going to do is make sure that 2 years and 4 years and 6 and 8 years from now, you're kicking and screaming in the streets all over again. Meanwhile, we'll get busy rebuilding the Republic. This is Jim Hansen, and you're listening to Secure Freedom Radio.